Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back. We're going to be reading the rest of the chapter that we stopped at, right in the middle, or maybe a little bit further than that, talking about the new children. And of course, we are still reading Power of the Magdalene, written by Stuart Wilson and Joanna Prentis. So this is chapter 24, and this is titled The New Children. So we left off with just a comment by Joanna and a comment by Stuart Wilson, and now we're going to continue talking about the new children that have been appearing on the planet since, I want to say, the 1930s on, and we're talking about the different consciousness and the different spiritual levels and the ways that these children are different and what their mission is, whether they are aware of it on a conscious level or not. So let's go ahead and get started. It's really, really windy, so if you hear a lot of wind chimes, it's because I have my window open and it's extremely windy where I live this evening. All right, so the session continues. Joanna, do crystals sift through books in a new way, and do they have photographic memories? Alariel, photographic memory is a special skill, and a few of the new children will have this. But it won't be universal amongst any of the subgroups. And remember, we're talking about the rainbow children. We're talking about the indigos. We're talking about, I think there were 4 different categories. The rainbows, the indigos, super psychics, and what was the other one? And the crystal children. Okay. What crystals have is a more highly developed intuitive capacity, and that capacity enables them to scan through books quickly, assessing only what is significant and useful and leaving the rest. They have an instinct for what chapters and pages they should read, and what is unimportant and can be left. There are some indigos with this crystal ability to scan through books quickly, reading the significant and skipping the rest. But it's a very rare skill amongst originals. So the originals are the ones that came here before. So the very few that came here before there were so many of any of these children in these categories. It is not a kind of speed reading where every page is read. It is more an intuitive feeling into the organic structure and development of the book, leaving aside whole sections which are of no interest to the reader. It is a tuning in to how the text is developing and how the mind of the writer is moving in a very fluid, intuitive way, absorbing only information which is interesting and significant. Joanna, there are some reports of super psychic children being able to read through their hands or feet. How does this work? Alariel, they are turning the book's contents into energy and reading the energy. The hands or feet are just energy sensors, but they're not acting like eyes looking at a page. When you get to the point that a book is printed, it has an energetic field to it, and everything in that book is represented in the energy field. The author starts to build this field, even if quite unaware of it, as soon as he or she starts working on planning a book. The more thought, emotion, and effort that are put into a book, the bigger and more powerful the field gets. This is perhaps why you might feel particularly drawn to specific books of this genre, or even of any genre. That is why I feel so drawn to the Christ letters, because there's something about it that I can literally feel the energy in this book, and it is the best feeling in the world. My hair is so crazy because I was just out in the wind. I'm so sorry. I'm not here for the looks, though. I'm here for the content. All right. That is why a major book project is almost impossible for an author to simply abandon and forget about. The energy field has become too strong. As these children are reading the energy rather than the words, this is why they can still read a page even when it has been crumpled up into a tiny ball. The originals find it very difficult to understand this kind of ability because it is so far beyond what they can accomplish. Joanna, Yet many of these powers are there in potential for us, and we've just become lazy and haven't used any of what some may call our sixth sense. Ilariel says, yes, that's true. In shamanic societies, this sort of skill would be better respected and understood. Many of these skills have been available to originals for centuries, but they have chosen not to develop them. Joanna, will the new children demonstrate many special gifts? Ilariel, there are many different gifts, some starting to emerge through indigos, but many more to come with the crystal children. Do not expect crystals and rainbows to have super psychic gifts. Crystal children are not interested in bending spoons. They're here to bend minds. And remember from the previous section in this chapter, super psychic children stand alone. While a rainbow can become an indigo or a crystal, a super psychic, you really, I suppose from how I was reading it, isn't something that is developed. You are either born and develop it because it is meant for you or not. But they can become a crystal, a rainbow, or I just forgot the other one, crystal, rainbow, or indigo, whereas they can move through those fluidly, with fluidity, but the other ones can sort of take on crystal, indigo, or rainbow, but not super psychic, if that makes sense to you. Hopefully I did not just confuse the hell out of you with that. All right. So let's see. Joanna. So the three main groups feed one into the other, and Ilariel says, yes, these groups are not rigid batches, but rather like flexible waves, with a few scouts starting off each wave, and then much bigger numbers coming in at a later point, when the conditions are known to be favorable. Joanna, do the crystals have generally a more highly tuned sensitivity? Ilariel says, yes, broadly that is true. Crystals have a more highly tuned consciousness than indigos, and it is the level of vibrational tuning which gives the clue to the existence of special abilities. Some indigos are telepathic and empathic, but many crystals will be. Indigos have had much more to feel their way here on this planet, as they were the first of these new children to get here. That has made their approach more tentative, more cautious, and they spend longer in clarifying exactly what they could do here. Most crystals come in just knowing why they are here, and that's why some crystals will find schooling, any schooling, a waste of time. They have arrived here bursting with information and skills and don't need too much training. However, they will still need to develop their interpersonal skills, or they will find their audiences will not understand them and will not listen to them. They have to learn that having a lot to say is only the starting point. Then you have to learn how to communicate it effectively. Wow, I feel like that was just totally speaking to me. I have so much to say outside of reading these books, but I really struggle with getting it out effectively. Joanna, do the new children prefer some locations to others? Ilariel, generally speaking, they will avoid coming to parents living in cities. They just don't like the city vibration. They would prefer to come to parents living in rural areas, especially those where there is a strong New Age or progressive element. However, they are also attracted to communities which have a spiritual focus, even if these communities follow some specific religion. Crystals and rainbows especially are not interested in religion, but they are interested in spirituality, and the spiritual commitment of a community will attract them. They are really looking for flexible parents with open minds, who will respond to their special needs and their special gifts. And these parents can be found in many parts of the world. However, even these parents are unlikely to attract a crystal or rainbow child if they live in a war zone. Both these categories of new child are committed to peace and oneness, and they will usually avoid a war zone or an occupied territory. Joanna, Should we give these new children special attention? Ilariel says yes, because they come with a special mission to break down the rigid patterns of the past and establish a new sense of oneness. They come to heal the divisions of humanity, and these divisions need to be healed quickly now. If you're going to benefit from a rapid spiritual evolution, you'll have to leave conflict behind. You have to learn to be inclusive rather than exclusive. Joanna, one of our contacts has an indigo child, and she says that she didn't give him any special attention. I'm not saying we should single them out for attention and say, hey, look, there's a special child. I'm saying that they just need to be handled in a different way to the originals, and for parents to be aware of these differences. So this is Joanna making this statement. And Ilariel says, yes, that's exactly right. Don't put them on pedestals as special beings, but try to give them appropriate handling, care, and education. That will bring out their full potential. They have special gifts, and their handling should be designed to help them exercise those gifts. These new children don't want to be regarded as so special that they are separated from the oneness. They believe in the oneness and try to include everyone within that. Their position is that they see all human beings as having special gifts, special talents, and it's just that many have been asleep to the potential of the gifts that lie within them. Joanna, is it a danger that because of a lack of understanding or even derision, their talents may be suppressed and go underground? Ilariel says yes, if their gifts are not understood, they may be forced to conform to the world of their peer group originals. These new children need to be recognized as having special gifts, but the specialness lies in the gifts, not in the ego-driven individuality. And that is a fine distinction that many originals may find difficult to make. Joanna, I see people that I recognize as indigos going out in the world and spreading light wherever they go, although they may not be conscious of doing that at all. And Ilariel says, yes, all the new children have this in common, that they are bearers of light. You can identify them more by what they do and the effects of what they do on other people than by any description or labeling. Joanna, are some of the new children taking drugs as a way of hiding behind them? Ilariel, that can happen, but not with super psychics so much, because they're instinctively aware that by taking drugs, they would get into areas where the psyche falls apart very quickly. Some individuals in the other groups, indigos, crystals, and rainbows, may find they are so overwhelmed by the combination of their supersensitivity and the dysfunctionality of the originals around them that they may take refuge in drugs for a while. The interesting thing about crystals is that their recovery from any period of addiction will be remarkably rapid. I did suffer from addiction for a short amount of time. It was maybe about 6 or 8 months, and then I recognized it and quickly remedied it. And I think I did share with you, sometimes I do feel I am in one of these categories, crystal, indigo, rainbow, I'm not sure, not super psychic to be sure, but one of those. And I do feel that one or both of my children may be. And it is said that many of these children are born to parents who are of the same thing, maybe not exactly the same, like both crystals or both indigos, but there has to be some sort to make it, I think, to join a family that already has a parent who may be like that. It certainly does help that parent understand the child quite better than if they were not. And I do feel that the time frame I was born and sort of the way I am, and the time frame of my children and the way that they are in their own special way, this could very well be a link, because I do understand things that many other people may not, even their own dad. I understand them in a very deep and profound way, maybe because of that. And it's not to say anything negative if you don't understand. It is nothing wrong with that. But having a parent that does can certainly help, for sure, more than hinder. I would hope. I really hope. All right. They may hide in addiction, keeping their heads down so they don't attract attention. But when they wish to recover and get back on track, they will do so with ease and with great speed. The consciousness of crystals is so attuned to the wholeness that it is very difficult to fragment. And that is the key to understanding their remarkable ability to heal themselves. Joanna. And some of the new children may seem to have phobic tendencies. Oh man, do I have a phobia. I don't even want to say what it is. It's weird, but it really affects me deeply. I don't even want to say what it is. It's embarrassing, but I do. And man, this is really hitting me hard right now. Okay. Yes, they may, and Ilariel says yes, they may reflect the phobias of all the members of their family and play out these phobias in dramatic ways, like an actor putting on a role. And this may be challenging for originals who are not used to having their phobias mirrored back to them. Joanna, and some may be dyslexic, she's asking. And Ilariel says, yes, it's an opportunity for them to get behind linear thought and into more holistic forms of expression. Joanna, how would you sum up the new children in just a few words? Ilariel says, the words would be sensitive, gifted, and wise. Joanna, I have the feeling that we're only just beginning to understand these new children. And Ilariel says, you are in the very earliest stages of understanding the new children and all the gifts they bring to this planet. Think of it as beginning a voyage of discovery as you explore the nature and abilities of these wonderful children. And it is important to try to understand them, because if you can do that, you can see where the consciousness of humanity is now headed. People who can't understand the new children and remain rooted in paradigms of the past are trying to judge the future by past criteria, and that just doesn't work. The only thing that anyone can say with certainty about your future is that it will be nothing like your past. All right, so that completes chapter 24. And in the next video, we will be focusing specifically on crystal children. So I have a feeling that each chapter is going to be focusing on crystal and then just the children in themselves. So understanding the new children, which I think is really important for all of us, whether we have children or not. It's really, really important to understand these special souls that are coming into the world that will help shape what this world is going to be like, and maybe even really drastically change it. So we'll stop right there. And in the next video, we will read, and I believe we'll be able to finish chapter 25. So until I see you, take care of yourself, take care of those around you. I love you all so much, and I'll see you for chapter 25 very soon. Bye-bye.